Hi, I'm Jane Meredith, and today I'm going to read a little piece out of The Magic of the Pearl Pentacle, which is a book that Theo, Gede, Parma, and I wrote and collated, and it was released earlier this year, March 2025. So, the Pearl Pentacle, if you're not aware, and perhaps you've been watching heaps of these videos, or perhaps you know the pentacle really well already, it has 5 points as shown here on the cover, and they've got different names and everything, personalities, flavors, magics. And the first one is love. And I read a bit out of the love section. You can find it on a different video. And then we come down into law. And I read some of that. And then we come up into wisdom. And today I'm going to read you a piece from the Pearl of Wisdom, which is the essay that Theo and I wrote on wisdom. That's in the book. There's also two other people have contributed beautiful, powerful essays on wisdom. And in fact, all of the 5 points in this book have 3 essays on them, as well as many practices, spells, processes, all that good kind of stuff. Um, so, yeah, here we go. We walk along the trail in the wide landscape of the Blue Mountains National Park in Darug and Gundungarra country. We are immersed within the wisdom of the land, and each step takes us further in. These are not really mountains, but a huge tableland formed millions of years ago under the ocean and eventually pushed a kilometre up above sea level. In the intervening time, the land has been worn down into deep and often twisting valleys, edged by escarpments and shaped by wind, water, and fire erosions. This land carries layers of experience, layers of wisdom from the sea, the uplift, the wearing away, from the life and growth that cover it now. We're talking about wisdom as we walk the narrow track, how its presence is right here. And all we have to do is pay attention, enough attention, to realize it and begin to taste it, hear it, see it. When we take a turn and begin to descend the escarpment, everything changes. The landscape both opens up before us in depth, intricacy, intimacy, and narrows ferociously. Breadth is hidden from us, and now all that can be seen are the details up close. Suddenly, the waterfall, which has been distant, muted, is immensely louder, and waves of sound crash off the rock walls, vibrating through us. We can no longer see the horizon. We have no sense of the generality of where we are. Only the particulars, up close, are revealed to us. That wide landscape no longer exists. Now we are all verticals as we climb down wide stone steps, further down by narrow metal ladders, along a track under an overhanging cliff, then more ladders. We are within the land. Reaching the waterfall, we witness a wisdom revealed. Here is the water spooling off the cliff face to fall into the pool below, and it is law, the way things have to happen. How else could this water travel than along the channel carved out for it by the waters that came before, and reaching the cliff edge created by this precedent? What else can it do but fall? Wisdom lies in observing these vastnesses, tectonic plate shifts and their consequences, erosion, the patterning of the land, the continued forces still creating. Perhaps, we say to each other, knowledge is to do with the particularities of how this plays out in each time and place. Liberty could be the element of choice when someone or something makes a change, such as the choice to build a path to this particular waterfall of all the waterfalls. These choices add dimensionality and difference to the endless unfolding of the laws, to the layered strata of wisdoms. And all of this together, as the water pours and falls and pounds into the pool, all of law, wisdom, liberty, knowledge, adds back up to love. Our journey into the conversation about wisdom and our journey down into the land to the waterfall shows wisdom as implicit, unfolding, revealed. You don't have to try for wisdom It's there all around us. Wisdom is there, though we might be too busy talking or paying attention to ladders and the rocky way underfoot to notice what's spread out all around us. It's completely available. The strata of geological shifts laid out in front of our eyes, the lessons of the waterfall constant and unending, but we might not notice it. There's something here about turning up, paying attention, being willing for wisdom, about trust, really. When we open, listen, and surrender, there it is. Wisdom. It's been there all along. We need to be schooled and practiced enough in the preliminaries, showing up, being present, staying grounded, opening our senses to receive what was always there. Along with being the first point of the Pearl Pentacle, we can see love as the seed, the original spark, that starburst explosion that begins the world, as well as that moment when sea and sunlight first create life together. Law becomes an extrapolation of this. As love and life unfold, patterns are created and followed, systems emerge, and exponential complexity is born through myriad forms of life, atomic arrangement, and structure. Meeting first the all-encompassing simplicity of love, followed by the inherent complexity of law, this point of wisdom arrives into the Pearl Pentacle as a distillation, a synthesis, the place where love shows us what to make of law or how to keep the law. Wisdom is notoriously tricky to claim, define, or reach consensus on. In contemporary Western society, we fail around when deciding what wisdom will guide us as a collective. Will we let our politicians decide this for us? That brings us into an adversarial system with vital matters such as how to approach the climate crisis or justice for First Nations peoples and communities, coming down to political strategy and manoeuvring, where the voices of vested interests have a disproportionate say, instead of leaning into any accepted or accrued wisdom. The churches, then? It seems redundant to consider that even for a moment, as organised religion becomes increasingly stultified, minoritized, and reliant on inherited and, in some cases, rule of conduct that has not been critiqued, rather than any living wisdom. What about the universities, the old people, the young people, First Nations peoples? What about the latest wellness guru or manifestation expert? Perhaps, if we just keep following this path down the escarpment through the layers of landscape, we'll find wisdom there. Whereas there is some consensus on what love is, and perhaps quite a lot of consensus around what law is, wisdom appears to be another matter. Have the white-dominated societies of invader settlers, those separated from their own lands and lineages, lost touch with wisdom? The wisdom that guided our peoples, that held our lineages, that governed our relationship with land and community. We know it existed. It was held, and in some cases is still held, by druids, pagans, the travellers and nomads, farmers living untold generations in the same location, fishing communities, and others. There have been mystery traditions linked with land and place and passed generation to generation, but we left it behind. We put it down somewhere along the way, not always voluntarily, as there were wars and clearances, starvation, poverty, purges, inquisitions, forced conversions, slavery, as well as economic necessity and sheer survival. And now that we need it, we don't know how to find it. But wisdom never left. There are wisdom cultures everywhere if one only looks, turns up, and listens. With our earlier forays into both love and law, we eventually realized that they were there all along. They do not have to be fought for or earned as much as awakened to, received, offered. Perhaps this is indicative of the Pearl Pentacle, that at least half our struggle with these points is within ourselves. And once we let go, show up, open to what is present, there is love, there is law, there is wisdom. If we say that wisdom emerges from love and law, then it becomes not so much a matter of going out to seek it, but more about deepening our awareness, capacity, and our willingness to become aware of it. While pieces of wisdom can be found within politics, law, and the lessons the current gurus and established religions offer, perhaps there are simpler, more immediate accesses that don't require wading through a whole lot of irrelevant and divisive content to arrive at a few gems of possible wisdom. Pearls and wisdom are often linked together. Not casting pearls before swine from the Bible, as well as the Chinese dragon's pearl of wisdom, usually held just out of reach of that snapping mouth. Both these images equate pearls with value and rarity. If we remember each mollusk creating each pearl, we can imagine that impulse to protect life, this force we often name love, as being the instigator of the coating of the nacre over the grit particle. Then law would be the process as the layers continue, and wisdom, where we arrive at the oyster now protected, the pearl formed. Wisdom is the pearl that is received when we do the work of love and law. We seek wisdom in order to know how to live our lives, what choices to make among the unending possibilities within the law. Wisdom offers guidance and support and a living tradition of understanding and being within the world. Wisdom is constantly unfolding, arising, arriving. And we are arriving to wisdom, evolving to become wiser beings as we receive and act upon these wisdoms. We might ask, what does it mean to become wise or to acquire wisdom? How would we know when we have become wise? There's a wonderful maxim around eldership, common to many cultures, where the status of being an elder or being regarded as wise is not something one can ever claim for oneself. It's a position only granted by recognition from and within the community. So I'm going to stop there. The essay does keep going. That's about a third of it, maybe a bit more. And as I said, well, there's heaps of other fantastic, beautiful, tempting essays and processes and practices, and of course, all about the Pearl Pentacle in this book, which I'd love you to watch every video if you're into it. We'd love you to buy the book. We'd love you to send us emails about how you found it. And yeah, to rate the book wherever you can. That always really helps us and helps the book. Thanks so much.